Hello everybody, welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here tonight with a very special game. This is a follow-up to a game that was played this summer. Yeah, this summer at Conline 2020. It's been 2 months, which seems very strange, but there you have it. We are going to be playing a sequel to a game that we played that weekend. This is called Halo Operation Drifting Shadows. We're going to be playing Mecha Hack tonight, modified a little bit to run the Halo universe, and we are going to be running a product, or a version of the product, by AbTab, the adventure kit called Shadows Over Driftchapel. I'm very excited to bring you this game this evening, but before I do, a few points of business. For one, this is a game full of adults. So, if adult language is something that bothers you, if mature subject matter, or in this case, hopefully scary subject matter, is something that gets under your skin and you can't handle, this is not a great game for you to watch. However, if you're all good for that kind of stuff, then buckle up, Buttercup. So, I'm going to pass things over to my 5 fantastic players. I'm very happy to welcome them all back onto the channel. I'm going to pass things over to them so they can introduce themselves, plug anything that they would like, and then we're going to get this thing started. So we're going to start first with Alan.
All right. Hey, my name is Alan, and you can find me on the social media platforms at CFTRPG. And you can find me a couple places. This Monday, you can find me at twitch.tv/CFTRPG. And I'll be running another one-shot of Fate Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And Jeremy and Chad will be in this, reprising their roles as Leonardo and Raph, the brothers that love to hate each other. So make sure to jump on that tomorrow. Wednesdays there, you can find me running some Savage Worlds. And then Fridays, you can find me over at Mini Terrain Domain Twitch channel as I run a Curse of Strahd 5e campaign. And I am reprising my role tonight as Preacher, who is a supportive character, and he's always inspiring others to do their best. And hopefully his words will help get us through this nightmare that we're about to walk into. So I'm happy to be back, Jeremy, as always. And I'm happy to be back with this fire team. So let's get on to it. Hoorah!
Absolutely, man. And he has one hell of a battery in his suit, which is always useful. So, yeah, very excited to have you back, Alan. It's good to always play with you once a month with Whispers and Fragments, and it's always a pleasure to have you on the channel for these little one-shots. And speaking of one-shots, I cannot wait for tomorrow. I'm very excited. This has been the only thing that has been kind of keeping my excitement for that game even remotely on a leash. Getting to play Raphael is going to be so much. It's been years since we played the first one, so I'm very excited to get back to that. All right. Next up, we have Karen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen. I have a channel called Myth and Gears, and it's been a little bit quiet lately, but that is shortly going to change as we're going to start a new campaign, a Harbinger campaign that'll start up in November. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm also very excited about tonight's game, where I will be playing Phoenix, who I won't quite say is the hothead of the group, but she's definitely likes to get her hands a little bit dirty. And take it out on some nasties. So hopefully we get to do that as well tonight. I'm very much looking forward to it. Thank you.
I'm glad to have you back, as always, Karen. So thank you for coming and playing again on the channel. Yeah, I don't think her hands were the only thing that got dirty the last time she was fighting the Prophet. I'm pretty sure with the sword that she was wielding, which you still have, by the way, if you want it, is in... You were just covered by the end of it, if I recall correctly. So, yeah, I'm glad to see that you're back for more punishment. So, welcome. Next up, we have Dwight.
Hey everybody, I'm Dwight. I am the Big Bearded Nerd. You can find me here on Twitch at twitch.tv/BigBeardedNerd21. And also over on Mini Train Domain. And then Twitter at Big Bearded Nerd. Got a busy week coming up. I have, Tuesdays and Thursdays we do mini painting over on my Twitch channel. Let's Paint Tiny Things. Wednesday night we have on Mini Train Domain we have our Mythos Tales Illicit Tower Horror. It's our monthly Call of Cthulhu game. I'm excited to get that game continuing. And then on Friday, I'm super excited. I will be running my very first live play TTRPG over on my Twitch channel, and a couple of people from this game will be there. We are going to be running Mecha Hack. We're playing the Mechspendables, a bunch of grizzled veteran mech pilot mercenaries, and it's going to be super fun. Hope y'all can make that if you want. So can't wait to play tonight. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. Dwight, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, man, I'm excited for that game. So, some good gaming. Not a lot of gaming this week for me, but some good gaming. I'm going to be playing Romeo in that game. So, I'm very much looking forward to that. Okay, next up we have my brother from another mother, Chadley.
Hello, Jeremy. Hi, my name is Chad. I am super excited to be back with this Fire team. I play Fox. He is a grizzled old veteran of the Fire team Halo Spartan squad, and I'm very excited to get back into this. Other than that, you can find me over at Twitter at CNickVO, and you can find me over on MTD every Friday night. Other than that, right now, I'm kind of just rolling with the punches and going where I'm going. There you go.
Always happy to have you, Chad. Thank you, and welcome back to the channel as well. Yep, you and I almost always ends up being antagonists towards one another in games, but it's delightful. It's so much fun.
I'm excited for Monday. Let's just say that. I'm really excited for Monday.
Your Leo and getting to play Raph against it is beautiful. Beautiful, and I can't wait.
Love you, buddy. I'm really excited for this, though, because I have a feeling in Counterpoint, this is going to be horrific for me. Like, I'm really excited for that.
With any luck. All right. Last but most certainly not least, Austin.
Hello, I am plugless as always. This is one of 2 games that I am playing in this month. I guess I could plug Whispers and Fragments. I am also in that. That's the only other game I think I'll be playing in anytime soon. I got nothing else to add. I'm just excited to get back into this. This was a super fun one-shot that I was excited as hell to play in for AtCon, and I'm really glad that we all decided that we could find time in our schedule to revisit it, because it was such a blast. And I'm super happy that we're getting to use all these AbTab products, the Oath of the Frozen King and Shadows Over Driftchapel, because they're great, and I want some Halloween spookiness to kind of round the month out. So I'm excited about this.
There's a lot of stuff in the soup.
Playing Gearheart.
What's that?
Oh, I said I'll be playing Gearheart.
Gearheart. No. As always, Austin. Yeah, I'm glad to have you on the channel, man. Yeah, you are a part of Whispers and Fragments, which is very soon, end of the year, January-ish, ending its just over 2-year run. So very excited to see that story coming to a conclusion. It's been a hell of a saga so far, and I'm excited to see how it is all going to wrap up. But all of those things that I am excited for, as excited as I am, it doesn't put a candle right now to how excited I am for this game. I've been a Halo fan for a long, long time, since the very first game came out. And running Halo as an RPG has never been a disappointment. And I know it's not going to be tonight either. So without further ado, anybody who mentioned a channel, by the way, you can find that in the description. I always forget that damn part. But I think that's all I need to say before we can get started. Everybody ready? Everybody ready? We got some Halo. All right. Here we go. Harvest. Nearly 30 years later, and the fires were still burning. The surface almost completely melted to a slag when it became the first human planet to be glassed by the Covenant. Nestled in a valley of the planet's only mountain range, the Bifrost, was a town called Amblechurch. This blaugas mining operation used to be such a hotbed of insurrection activity that a nearby installation was commandeered and turned into a UNSC base of operations. 6 days ago, Commander Aliana reported that a brute chieftain named Cassitus surrendered to her team, claiming that he had intel that could change the entire scope of this war. Despite the nuclear winter that has been ravaging Harvest since its glassing, this planet was where Persephone Team took her captives for questioning. Contact with Spartan Q4TU and her team was lost shortly after they reached the UNSC base outside of Amblechurch. Now, you, Firestorm Team, are being sent to the planet of Harvest to discover what happened to Spartan Q4TU and the rest of her team. The pelican that you are riding in begins to buck and shake from the nuclear winds and the driving rain as it descends through the darkened atmosphere of Harvest. The light of this system's sun, a star called Epsilon Indi, fades as you pierce through the roiling black clouds. And as your dropship touches down just on the outskirts of Amblechurch, please describe who it is that we see disembark from the rear ramp.
It's kind of the grizzled vet of the bunch, and he wants to get a good look and see what's going on. He steps forward. His armor is just pockmarked with scorch marks. And then you also see that he just has these red notches in his shoulder pauldrons. And he gets to the bottom of the ramp. He looks around. He just reaches up. Looks clear to disembark. And then just takes a few steps to the side.
Gerhardt hops out, eager as always. Trying, he was trying to push to be first out, but got kind of shouldered aside at the last moment by Monk, and he hops out with his gun drawn, just trying to sweep the landscape, trying to get the best picture he can before waving anyone else out. Gerhardt's armor is a much thinner. He's a much skinnier, less bulky sort of armor, and he's got it's mostly white, but it's sort of kind of faded, dirty white at this point.
All right. Preacher follows behind in his cobalt blue with white pinstriping and different UNSC tags and those kinds of things over his helm. His visor, everything is kind of blue, cobalt blue with white, except for his visor is that bright orange. And as he steps out, he begins to survey and get readings from the planet itself. And I want to try, Jeremy, if I could. Is there any sort of beacon or anything coming from Aliana that would give us some sort of indication of what direction we're supposed to be heading into?
Unfortunately, no. That was lost as part of the contact shortly after they arrived here. But there is a nav point beacon that has shown up as you've kind of touched down, and you know that indicates the actual mining facility that was turned into a base of operations. Supposedly, that was their destination here. But between you and that point lies the town of Amblechurch.
Okay. Commander Fox, I can't seem to get any sort of beacon off of Commander Aliana. Our home beacon from afar is there for sure, but maybe it's planetary interference or something. I'll keep an eye on it.
I think at that moment, the commander would be kind of stepping out amongst the drop ship bay, and he would kind of like wrap a mitt around your shoulder and just sort of tap it. It's all right. We'll just have to go out there ourselves, see what we can find. So, preacher, perhaps maybe he looks over to Gearhart. He gives you a nod of like recognizing that you've grown up, in the last couple of years that we've been together, and perhaps you and Gearhart can take a sweep of the area. Make sure that we're not going to be ambushed if we go in here.
As soon as the not even phrased as an order, but as soon as the order leaves your mouth, Gerhardt is moving. Like he just like silently nods and heads forward. He's reined himself in quite a bit, and he doesn't have quite the lip he had before, but he'll just silently nod and move out to kind of carry out that order.
Yeah, you can see that Fox, over the last couple of years that we've been together, his dark black Spartan armor has now kind of, through the scorch marks and the scuff marks, it's been completely battered up, but it still maintains its black color, but there's bits and pieces of like gunmetal scrapes that come between it, but there's still those emblems of the fox symbol on his right pauldron as he again carries this heavy gun out of the bay, kind of following along. I think for a moment he like tilts it up and sits it between on one of his legs, and then like looks back to Phoenix. Are you ready to go?
Always, sir. And at that, Phoenix descends the ramp, and you see this large Molnir suit. It's a black. Again, it's scuffed and it's dirty like the rest of them, but this one has advanced armor plating put on it, and it's red in color. And this is a little bit shinier than the rest of the armor, and it has kind of almost like gold filigree lines kind of painted around it, just kind of sprucing it up a bit. And in one hand, this figure's carrying a needler, but the other is completely encased in this Forerunner tech orange, which hangs down by her side at this point. And she is walking out. He's grown a lot, Commander. He's going to be a good one.
I think so too. But don't sell yourself short, Phoenix. You have two.
Well, I've been around a couple of times.
All right. Well, we're not going to get very far chatting on board. And he like picks the gun back up, and just you hear the like rattle of the the chamber just after you.
Always.
The five of you disembark from this specially shielded Pelican. The back, the cargo bay that you were in, looks much the same, but the entire front portion of this this dropship, the cockpit where the pilots are seated, is specially shielded against the extreme amount of radiation that is present here on Harvest. And over your comms, the pilots come on and they inform you, well, Commander Fox, the radiation here is pretty high. We're going to head back into orbit and just let us know whenever you're ready and we'll come and dust you off.
Very well. And he'll look out into the horizon, kind of trying to find a vantage point that might be a good dropship spot for pickup. Is there a spot that may not necessarily be right within the mining facility or right within everything that we might be able to get to accessibly?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's certainly easy enough to do. Harvest itself, I mean, the only mountain range, like I said, is Bifrost, and it is, I think the highest peak is 500 meters, so it's not very high, and that's the only mountain. And especially since it's been mostly glassed, most of what you see looking out is just flat, black lava-like flows everywhere.
Okay. Yeah, I think he would reply back to them. We'll send you coordinates for a drop point when we're ready.
Looking at their planet's readings, I suggest whatever you do, do not remove your helm unless you want a sunburn that you can never recover from.
Roger that. Commander Fox, we are off. And the Pelican kicks up its jets, kind of lifting off straight up. As it does, the ramp kind of starts to close behind it, and as it gets high enough, it then turns and jets forward off into the distance. The mining town of Amblechurch itself was once a producer of blaugas, and it was also a foothold of the insurrectionists before the Covenant War began. So the town itself has a history, and especially a history with the UNSC. Not exactly a friendly history. And you can see as you're approaching that the town itself seems to only be lit by gas lighting fixtures. There doesn't seem to be any electricity that you can find anywhere. And the town itself is about as warm and welcoming in appearance as the people seem to be. The people don't look great. The streets themselves are almost completely deserted. And the people that you are able to see, they show very clear, apparent signs of being affected by the fallout here on the planet. And not far off from the town itself, you can see the dim glow of gas fires that have burning for who knows how long.
Sir, are you seeing this? These folks don't look too healthy.
Yes.
What do we know about this place?
Well, I don't expect it to be a friendly invitation when we go in. From what is known of these people, they're not exactly UNSC agreeable. So keep your helmets on and your guards up.
Roger that.
I just feel bad for them. What could have been done?
Can I make a systems check? Like, do they just have? Basically, I'm just trying to see, like, have they adapted to this environment, or are they actually like sick?
So, kind of at a distance here, you can see that it's not a mere adaptation, that these people have radiation sickness. It's pretty apparent. And again, like the readings that you're getting, it's not the kind of, you're not looking at Chernobyl. You know, it's not like off the charts bad. It's just, it's persistent enough and high enough that living here would be very difficult. You're surprised that there's even as many people alive as you still see.
These people are, they might as well be the Walking Dead. They just don't know it yet.
I know there's nothing we can do for them, but I sure wish we could get them off this marble. And kind of look around at the desolate landscape. People shouldn't be living like this, sir.
I agree. But right now we were sent to do a job, and that's what we'll do. If we can help them any further, well, we'll try.
So is there, do we see anything? So you said that the last known location was on the other side of this town, right? Okay. So I would assume as we're walking through, do we see anything that might look like an official building, I'm used like the mining offices or anything like that?
So, not really much in the way of administrative stuff here in town. Most of this seems to be partial buildings that have been kind of pieced together after part of them was destroyed. Shacks, things of that nature. This definitely seems to be where most of the people live. You can see that the facility up the hill kind of thing at the end of the town, that it has many buildings that are kind of within a walled compound. So it's definitely where it looks like most of the mining business took place.
Do we just move on through, sir, or do we need to take a closer look around here? If it was me, I'd say we get through this town as quick as possible.
He looks around and trying to like kind of eyes the people. They came here before we did, so good thing that we might ask around. If we are not the first Spartans that they have encountered, maybe they know exactly where the fire team went.
Sir, I'd just like to suggest caution. They may be, as unlikely as this seems, they could be they're the reason the fire team is missing.
Understood. Good thought, Gerhard. He looks around and Would I know anything about this other commander, Aliana? Would I have probably met her or know of her of any?
It's very possible.
Okay.
She's not. She hasn't been a part of the program as long as you have, Fox, but maybe like the generation after. So, you would probably have known of her. And in what facety and stuff, I'll leave that up to you.
Okay. Not knowing really her personality, but having heard of her, the one thing that I think he's aware of is at least her ability to adapt in the face of a disaster or a trauma, something, right? She'd be able to protect herself. He looks around the town. Even if she couldn't save her whole team, Aliana would have protected herself. That's for sure. I think it's at least worth trying to see if someone recognized it. And I think I would maybe, even with the caution being granted, take a couple steps in toward the town and probably make my way toward one of these nearby townsfolk.
And you can see as you walk through the town, you're not unused to this being Spartans, but even the shortest amongst you is probably at least a head, if not two, taller than most of these people are. So you look like statues moving through these people. And most of these people are somewhat bent and stooped with their considerable ailments. And they turn their bloodshot, jaundiced eyes towards you in a cutting way every time you walk past one of them. Several of them even spit on the ground as you walk past. And not a single one of them has approached you or spoken to you since you've arrived. It's definitely the kind of thing that now that Fox is approaching, a group of them, half of the group probably melts away into the darkness of the twisted alleys and stuff that form this kind of ramshackle town. And you might be able to corner one or two of them kind of close to a wall. And as you do so, they kind of look at you almost hesitantly. Yes, sir. Do you need help, sir?
In fact, I do. I appreciate if you would be able to give me some answers. And you hold a hand out, and Jarvis, bring up the profile for Commander Aliana, please.
Yes, sir. Right away. And your suit is able to project a holographic readout of what Commander Aliana looks like in her Mjolnir armor. And it kind of rotates around a little, and you see their sunken hollows kind of scan it. And one of them nods. Yes, sir. I've seen her. The other one kind of like elbows him, and he kind of turns and like almost like exposes his teeth towards him. kind of like, not quite hisses, but almost like that, like a sucking noise.
Now, there's no reason to hide anything.
Who's hiding? He like coughs, and this like black Icarus thick blood, like coagulated already, like spatters on your chest. He kind of wipes his sleeve.
He takes the gauntlet and just sort of like sloughs it off.
Yes, well, you seem to have at least seen her. Do you know where she might have gone?
He kind of looks to his friend, and his friend looks back at him. His friend, who elbowed him, kind of shakes his head real subtly. The other one kind of like, again, wipes the corner of his mouth kind of on his sleeve. Looks at you. You can tell he's probably just looking at his reflection in your visor. And then he kind of turns and he points a single finger in the direction of the facility that kind of looms on the outskirts of this town. Right up that way. I don't know that I'd follow, though. They haven't come back yet. I imagine if you do so, you might not come back either.
Well, that wasn't so hard, now was it? I appreciate your compliance.
And he'll like take the gun up and just and turn around to the rest of the group. Well, we have our heading.
The moment the commander's back is turned, these two scatter like cockroaches when the light comes on. Uh-oh. I don't know what that was.
Whoopsie doodle.
Foreshadowing.
So,
Anyone else get the feeling that we're walking into an ambush?
Fox would say in his comms.
I wouldn't put it past them, that's for sure. They've already spit on me, so that's a sign.
Well, they obviously have no love for the UNSC, so I'd be very surprised to see any of these town folk be able to take on one Spartan, let alone a fire team commander. But, well, unfortunately, we're at a disadvantage. They have a lay of the land, home field advantage, so to speak. I've definitely urged a sense of caution.
Yeah, he'll nod to that and just turn to the group and
we can't save them right now, Preacher. But let's do what we need to do, see if we can save this fire team. And if possible, then we'll deal with them, however ungrateful they might be.
Taking a look at that guy and the way he was coughing, I'm not sure there's much that we're going to be able to do for them. But let's find Persephone.
yeah, and so I think we would probably just mount up, start walking through the town. Did we? Just a logistical question. Did we ask for any vehicle drops or anything like that?
if you had needed one, they could have dropped a like a warthog underneath this pelican. It's not that
How big is
far
the-
outside of town,
how-
so
How big is this town though? How big is this township? And then is it worth us needing an escape route if need be?
probably not. It'll take you maybe 15 minutes, half an hour to cross the entire town.
Okay, so no reason to call one in yet. So okay, I'm good.
You certainly have that capability if you feel the need. Okay. So the five of you kind of make your way through this rainy, dingy, desaturated looking town. Everything is gray and black. But not far outside of town sits drilling installation AT-20, a large industrial compound full of huge abandoned machinery and added fortifications that made it into a viable UNSC base. You can see things like concrete barricades that were erected, barbed wire, things of that nature that wouldn't have been natural to the mining facility whenever it was functional. Pools of dark water everywhere you look bubble and belch, likely due to the gas pockets beneath this location that have begun to crack and leak into the surface. Though you can tell it was equipped with power at one time, the installation is now totally dark. And the only sound you hear is the driving rain off of all of the metal implements all around this facility. You can see across this open courtyard that there is a series of front doors. Looks almost like a sliding blast door that you can bring up and down. It's pretty heavy duty, likely reinforced by the UNSC. It is currently closed, and that looks to be the main way into the building.
So I think Monk would be towards the front, leading the way, kind of taking point as we head towards the entry. Any movement at all as we get close, especially watching around the entry itself?
So your motion tracker on the little kind of in the corner of your HUD has not registered anything whatsoever, any kind of movement or life. You don't even really see anything move. It's difficult because the rain is coming down so hard, but you know, your head's on a swivel. You're looking for things that aren't just falling rain. And the shadows seem to kind of like writhe and twist unnaturally here. The kind of thing where like you see one moving, and when you turn your attention that direction, it's not. You know, but you could have sworn that it was moving in a different way just a moment ago when it was outside of your main vision. And you cannot seem to shake the feeling of being watched, possibly even hunted.
So from the look of that picture, it looked like there was a bit of verticality to this area, right?
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, Gearhart is going to kind of try to sweep out a bit ahead and try to find what looks like whatever a vantage point that might give him a good view, and he'll activate his jetpack. And use the kind of rocket boosters on his back to sort of thrust himself up to a soft landing on top of whatever structure. It looked like there was kind of a single structure in the middle that looked like a good spot. I don't know. I couldn't tell if it was a crane or something.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like at one time it was some kind of loading crane, and it's on this kind of large pedestal, essentially, this kind of raised platform. So you can kind of jetpack up onto basically like the catwalk that kind of encircles the cab of the crane. You can certainly get up there and position yourself easily.
Okay, that's going to take my reactor die also to use the jetpack, I believe. We're good. Yeah, so is there any sort of movement that I can see from up there? Like I'm gonna particularly like keep checking back like near where my companions are moving. But just try to sweep the area, see if there's anything that is obvious or
much the same as I just described for Monk. You know, you kind of scope in. I don't know what kind of weapon that you typically use as a firearm, but you kind of scope in on the front door and kind of look around the immediate area, and you don't see any movement. You don't register any movement on your motion tracker, but there's something like just at the edge of like your scope. You see almost like the shadow of something being cast, you know, across the surface of what you can just kind of barely see in the edge of your scope. But when you pan over, there's nothing there. There's nothing that would have caused that shadow, and the shadow's gone.
something feels real wrong here. Everybody just stay real alert. I'm not seeing anything though.
Yeah,
and then
not
like
being-
quietly, so that you can tell that it's only coming over the comms. Like he's saying it quietly that it wouldn't be heard through his mask, through his helmet. And anyone else feel like we're being watched?
As I walk through the shadow, brother.
Phoenix goes like almost rigid when she hears that, but doesn't say anything out loud.
Fox would immediately let everyone else take over, because I feel like he is probably the least stealthy and strategic in terms of like movement. He kind of just like will lumber around.
All right then. If we're concerned that we're being watched, then everyone round each other, back to back. Keep an eye on everyone.
Monk just immediately turns his back to the center of the group. He's not saying anything, but you can just see his head moving back and forth as he's scanning.
Yeah, so I feel like there's this moment maybe where I see Gearhart has gone up top, keeping an eye above. Preacher, Monk, and myself are sort of like beginning to form like a triangle of walking as we're going, and then I see Phoenix, and she's just sort of staying at the front end of this facility.
Phoenix, what's wrong?
There's like the awkward silence. Commander, I just want to get off this godforsaken rock. Let's just say that. I don't like it here. This place brings up too many old memories. Let's find this fire team. Let's get going. And somebody's talking to me.
Okay, then. Well, look, I'm here for you. If you need. Come on. What other motivation?
I'm not crazy.
What other motivation do you need then?
Somebody is watching us. They want us here. We need to. I don't like being out in the open.
Look, no matter how many times I've done this, neither do I. But I need to know that you're not going to freeze up when we get in there. Now, come on.
I won't freeze.
Monk, can you open the door?
And I'll move towards it, see if I can access it through this computer. And I hold my arm out, see if I can get a interaction with it.
Yeah, so you send your AI's kind of scans out, and this facility seems like it's completely dead electronically. So you could probably get in the front doors because there's not going to be the electromagnets engaged, but it's going to have to be forced open manually.
Okay. I turn back. There's no juice here, boss. I think we can probably force it, but I don't know. Phoenix, you want to help me?
Yeah, Commander, if you want us to just knock on this front door, I'm all for it.
I think at this point, he looks to both of you.
Well, if we are being watched.
And he kind of looks around above, around the facility, left and right, kind of sweeping his gun a little bit. And then he stops like halfway through that sweep. His hand goes rigid and the grip gets tighter.
If we are being watched, let's just bash the door down. Go.
Preacher would move to the rear to watch everyone's six. I'd imagine like his headlamps are just, as he's got his scattergun and he's just watching everyone's six as these two go to open these doors.
Absolutely. And I imagine like the tight beam of like bright light that just illuminates these little pellets of like falling rain that happen to catch right inside that beam of light as you're kind of looking out through the courtyard. And the two of you who are moving to the doors and trying to open them, I will need a power test from both of you, please.
Yeah, that's a no for me.
That is a success for me.
So the two of you kind of push against the door to try to get some kind of friction or purchase upon it and start to kind of push the direction that it slides open. And Monk, you're just not having any luck finding any kind of part of the front of this door that you can actually get good grip on. Phoenix, you've gotten a good purchase on it and you're pushing and it's moving, but it's just, this thing is fucking heavy. And it's something you're probably not going to be able to move on your own. Unless you can get it open far enough to pry it.
Come on, Monk, put your back into it.
You got
help
this
here.
You got this, Monk. I'm going to use my inspiring speech. And I'm going to give him advantage on his next test as my pilot ability. Don't get spooked.
Yeah, it's just success.
Phoenix, could you roll again? You would please.
Also a success.
Excellent. Okay. So buckling down, Monk, You actually rear back with your hand and like slam your elbow into the door and create a deep enough dent that you can then like get the palm of your hand into, and now you actually have kind of enough purchase, and the two of you together start to force this, and you can hear as the metal kind of screeches back on its track, being forced open, and you manage to open a 3-foot wide kind of sliver of completely pitch black emptiness on the other side.
That's what I'm talking about, Monk.
Well, they didn't know we were here. They certainly know now.
Gerard.
Sir, I'm getting it too. What? Did you hear that? Did you hear that through the comm?
Hear what, Gerhard? Other than your voice? No. I didn't. What'd you hear?
I thought somebody just said my name. What? You didn't hear that? None of you said anything to me?
It could be radiation interference from the planet messing with our equipment.
It sounded real specific, preacher.
Well,
All
we
right.
know someone might be watching us, so lights up.
Well, knowing the encryption on our comms is triplified, I don't imagine that any of these locals would have the ability to intercept our communications. I'll run a diagnostic.
Maybe it's Persephone Team. Did you recognize any voices?
Hard to tell.
Yeah, would I have recognized any voices to the comm?
No, you've only heard it once. And all it said was your name.
Jeremy, if we open a channel to the Persephone Team, is it just silence? Do we get any like white noise?
So you switch it over to like the likely channels, you kind of cycle through them or whatnot, and this is typically used by fire teams. And eventually you come to one where it does sound like staticky white noise, but whenever you listen really closely, you hear like a choir of voices like laid over one another, whispering, help me, help me, help me, we're trapped, we can't get out, help me, end the pain, please stop. But they're all overlaid one another and so continuous and rapid fire that it sounds like static.
I'm getting some heavy static. Persephone Team, this is Firestorm. I repeat, Persephone, this is Firestorm. Can you give us your location?
The moment that you speak, preacher, it goes completely silent.
Thought I had something there. Again, the radiation from the planet may be interfering with our signals. I'm imagining it's going to be very short range.
Let's stay close. And Gearhead will hop down off of his perch, kind of fire his thrusters a few times to soften his descent, but he'll land next to the rest of the group.
I imagine these the material that this mining facility is made out of, it may also interfere with our communications. Again, shortwave frequency may be best.
So Monk's just gonna start heading in through the door.
All right.
Phoenix is
Monk.
right there beside him.
Monk, followed by Phoenix, closely behind. The two of you kind of move in, and one sweeps left, one sweeps right, kind of making sure that the immediate area on the other side is safe. both of you see, as your light kind of sweeps across the room, that there are signs of conflict everywhere in here. You see blood, improvised barricades like flipped over tables. You see bullet holes and scorch marks on almost every surface that you see in here. The one thing that's odd, and both of you probably hit on it right about the same time, there are no bodies here.
Sir, we had a fight in here. Keep an eye when y'all come through. I'm clearing the room. And I'll just continue moving in, looking for any signs of making sure there's nobody else in here with us.
Each of you as... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
When he says fight, Commander, it's kind of an understatement. It's a freaking battle zone in here. No bodies, though.
As you each kind of enter into this space beyond, kind of taking a quick assessment of the area just on the other side of this door, it looks like it was some form of like check-in, check-out area before leaving or arriving at this facility. And you find the same thing, this horrific sign of a battle that had to have been fatal. But there are no bodies at all. All of you, if you would please, however, test systems for me. Okay, we got a good from Preacher, good from Monk. Nope, okay, no Phoenix. Preacher and Monk. Fox. Yeah, okay. So everybody except for Phoenix. As this door has been opened, and more so as you stepped over the threshold into this space, you all have noticed that there's kind of like a part of your HUD that leads to kind of like a sub-menu, if you will, of possible alerts that are going on and things. Opening that up, your HUD readout alerts you to the presence of airborne spores of an origin that says are unknown. But there's apparently a very high count of them.
Shit. Spores. Now I'm even more worried.
Spores, sir?
Preacher, get in here.
Walking in, looking around at the detail here. Oh, this is a slaughter.
But there's no bodies.
Kneels down. What do you think? Covenant?
No. And he kind of chokes back, and you can hear it on the mic.
Preacher, I don't know how long you've been in the service. But do you remember a while back, there was an enemy that we once fought, known as the Flood. Any of you remember that?
The Flood, sir. Okay.
Monk just grunts.
Sure, I mean, we all our bedtime night like stories. They wanted to make sure that we didn't sleep, so they told us about the flood, right? But
as soon as you say that, Gerhardt, he rounds on you with a surprising speed, and like grabs you by the back of your your armor.
Do not make fun or light of an enemy that you do not know, little man.
Apologies, sir. And he'll flick to his check his kind of arm display and see make sure that all of his filtration systems are working, that his suit is at full efficiency, and is definitely filtering out any of these spores, because from what he's heard, he's terrified. That was a bit of a joke out of fear moment for him. So
I've never encountered the flood myself, sir, but according to UNSC Article 6502-25, the flood had been eradicated. Unfortunately, I was myself a little skeptical seeing how the article was redacted about 80%. But are you sure that we are dealing with this? If so, are we even equipped to handle such? Assessing our weapon capacity, sir, we are not fit to engage the flood. And if Persephone Team came in contact with this and they are infected, according to that article, sir, it is, well, we'd have to put them down, sir. There is no coming back.
Years ago, I was on a fire team before any of you showed up. I've had one encounter with the flood. That's it. But trust me, that's all you need. One. I don't want to give up hope that they're not here. But now we take care of ourselves first. Lights up. No corners unturned. Do you hear me?
And Monk doesn't reply audibly, but he just kind of holds his arm out, and his electric flail just kind of materializes at the end of his arm.
Sir, I'll follow you, of course, anywhere, but I have to say those people in Amblechurch, they knew something about this. They knew more than they said. That much was obvious, but if this is what we're really dealing with, what did they know about this place? And why are they still there? Everything I've heard about the flood says that town should have been wiped off the face of this rock.
That I don't know. You're right. It makes no sense. The flood was an active virus. It fed on everything. It had no end game. So you're right there, Gerhard. I don't know what is stopping it from just going. But that's why we're here. That's why we chose to do this. So, let's do it. And if things come to pass and we have to do what you said, Preacher, we'll put them down and leave the marker.
Right. Well, let's sweep this facility, confirm dead or alive, and get the hell off this rock.
So where Can you describe the area we're in again? Like where does it branch out or?
Absolutely. So this is kind of like a I don't know what the technical term would be, but basically like a place where they would accept arrivals and kind of prepare departures from the facility itself, maybe like a loading area or something. And so it's rather sizable. And there's, I would say, probably 3 other doors that lead off of this place. 2 of them are open and look like they have seen action, that they've been kind of used as a like a choke point. But the other one is sealed, and there's a blood smear that kind of leads across the floor up to that door and disappears underneath it.
Monk would follow that and go check that door out. I'm assuming it's still like not sealed, or you said it is sealed.
The one that's closed at the blood smear?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is it anything my systems pick up, or is it just like a manual seal?
Yeah, same thing. This place is just in, basically, it looks like this place was put in lockdown at some point before it lost power. But there's no reading on the electricity in this spot at all.
Am I seeing any way to get through that door other than just manhandling it again?
No, it looks like you're probably going to have to force this one open too, unless you find a way around it. But the other thing you notice, Monk, as you approach this door and you get close, there is motion on your tracker that shows up. It is kind of at the range of your motion tracker, but it is abundant.
In the direction of that door, like through that door?
Yes, on the other side of it.
All right, we got motion. There's something on the other side of this door, y'all.
Is there any way that we could like hook one of our reactors up to that door's mechanism to get it to open like a little quieter, so we don't have to like do that grinding metal? Like if we're gonna go through a door into an area where there may be a lot of enemies, it's nice to do it a little more carefully.
Well,
that's something
yeah.
I hadn't even thought of. So, but I'm cool with that. Sure. Sorry,
I was gonna suggest that maybe we see about restoring the power to the facility. That may make it moving through a little easier.
That was another option that I was going to suggest too, is see if there's a area that we might be able to get to that has electrical compound.
But Gerhardt brings up a good point in the sense that until then we may need to bypass some doors, and by giving them a little juice that may help.
Is there any kind of panel or anything by this door?
Yeah, I would imagine so. Again, this was built as a mining facility initially, so most of the fortifications on it are kind of done in place. So I don't imagine anything like the door locks would be quite as sophisticated as you would normally be used to. So,
as an engineer, I would think if there's a possibility to hardwire, my suit would probably be equipped to do that. So I will try to see. I'll see if that works.
Okay, so do this for me. Roll. Let's call it roll systems, and then also roll your reactor die for me.
Yep, passed on the systems, passed on the reactor die.
Excellent. Okay, so you kind of watch the power of your reactor kind of dip down for a moment as you put quite a bit of juice kind of into this system that runs this door, but you know that it'll have enough power to at least open and close a few times before it probably will run out again.
All right, we got juice here. You want to form up? We got bogeys on the other side.
Yeah, Fox will immediately step right in front of the doorway, heft the big gun up, prepare for the onslaught that might come out.
Preacher would always take rear going into these rooms. So
Gearhead is like as he doesn't really notice everyone kind of posting up and readying, and he turns around and holds out like he has his little scout drone, and he notices that everyone's ready to like kick down the door and bust in guns blazing. He's like, "Oh, I thought we could take a look first, but or that."
No, that's smart. That's smart. I just want to prepare in case something comes out.
And Monk just holds up, 3, 2, and then he'll key the open.
Yep. And then I think I would look to Gearhart. Go ahead and send the drone. See what you can see. And then I'll just keep my eyes on this doorway for anything that starts coming out.
Yeah, so there's like this very light like as the drone just kicks up and picks up on these little thrusters, and it jets out through as his heads-up display comes up inside his Mjolnir helmet. And he controls it through the doorway, through like the little crack that they've opened. And what do I see through the drone as I head through into this next chamber?
So you open this door, and it kind of slides open and reveals this very long corridor, this very narrow shaft, if you will, that kind of runs directly away from you, and it is pitch black in there. Your lights shine into it, kind of off of your shoulder mounts for your Mjolnir armor, into this corridor, but very quickly you can see the light, the visibility dies out because the spores are visible in this chamber. There's all of these greenish, yellowy spores, some of them as large as maybe the end of your thumb, and they're all kind of floating around like motes of light. And very quickly it becomes so dense that your light will not shine past them. Your drone kind of heads off into this corridor, and very quickly, Gearhart, you can see almost like the video of like the submersibles when they go down really deep in the ocean. Like you can just barely see in front of this drone as it's kind of going through here, and you see this movement kind of on the walls, the ceiling, on the floor. The architecture is wrong here. Instead of it being the clean, man-made lines, you're starting to see curves and round shapes. And about the same time that you catch confirmed movement with your drone, all of you hears, echoing up this dark tunnel towards you, this kind of gurgling noise. And it's growing closer to you. That is where we're going to take our break. So, 5 to 10 minutes, smoke them if you got them, refill your drinks, go to the bathroom, kiss your spouse, etc., etc. We will be back in just a moment with the second half of tonight's episode, and I cannot wait. So, sit tight. We will be right back.
Sweet.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second half of our game this evening. This is Operation Drifting Shadows. This is a Mecha Hack game that has been retooled to run Halo. This is our second one-shot follow-up to AtCon Line 2020 that we played the first game. It's been a blast so far, and the tension has been mounting. I cannot wait to get into the second half. So, I think without further ado, unless anybody has any questions or concerns, we will push right on through. Excellent. That's what I like to hear. Okay, so you have now opened this long, dark corridor. The light from your suits, attempting to amplify how dark it is in here, are only able to go so far before they become diffused and choked out by the large amount of spores that are floating around and hovering like motes of light in this corridor. The drone of Gearhart has been sent out forward into this tunnel, and it gets a movement, a motion, very quickly across its camera. And about that same time, all of you, once again, you hear that gurgle noise echoing to you from down the length of this corridor.
Gerhardt will temporarily pause the connection that gives him the view of the drone. So he's like, it'll drop from his visor, and he'll look up to his teammates and just say, "It gets dark in there real quick. There's spores everywhere, and something seems to be moving. It's not far down there."
All of you see movement on your HUDs. Lots of movement. Red blips beginning to show up ahead of you and moving towards you quickly.
Close the damn door. Close the damn door.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for grenades just like on any of their like belts or anything. Like, does any one of them have like an accessible grenade that I could like snap off of their? I want to snap it off.
Sure, I know I've got at least two plasmas.
Yeah, so without even asking, I'm just going to like grab one of them off of your belt. Like, you got both hands on this big ass gun anyway, and I'm just gonna like chuck it as hard as possible through the crack in the door and just yell, "Monk, close it!"
As soon as the grenade goes through, I'll key the close button.
All right. So you send that through, Gerhard. And Monk, very quickly, you shut these doors. And... Go ahead.
I would also like to try and power it back down so that it can't be reopened.
Okay. Make me another systems check. And let's roll your reactor die again, just in case.
Good on both.
Excellent. Okay. So you managed to very quickly shut this door and disconnect all of the power that you had kind of like juiced into the battery, drain them, and they close. And you hear them seal and pressurize just as all of these red dots on your motion tracker kind of reach this invisible wall on your motion tracker just a few feet in front of you. And you can hear on the other side that, and just a few seconds later, there is a noise, and you can feel the ground kind of... So, test power for me. Gerhard.
Well, that was a nat 20, which in this game is bad.
Ooh. Okay. Ooh, okay. So, you threw this thing into the opening, and as this door is just about to close, you see a blue glow kind of diffused inside this hazy cloud of spores. As the blue kind of sizzle grows closer and larger just as the door closes. And when that grenade blows off, the creature that it was attached to had managed to close with this door. This door falls open. And you are met on the other side of this barricade with something that most of you have probably never seen before. A creature that is about the size of a human head. And it has a fleshy color to it. And the pieces that come off of it, these appendages or limbs, if you want to call them that, while they look like they are made of flesh, are almost root-like in their structures and their tendrils that lash out from them, almost like branches or roots. And there is a dozen of these things or more on the floor, on the walls, on the ceiling. Several of them have already been blown apart by this grenade that Gerhard just threw in here. However, any open space that's left behind is very quickly filled by the creatures that are coming up behind these things. Everyone, please, roll initiative for me.
Contact! We have contact!
All right, so Jeremy, remind me how we roll initiative. Initiative is the same
it is
as
systems
D&D, so we have to roll above or below?
No, you want to test either systems or mobility, I think it is, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I just couldn't remember, so I just want to make sure before I roll.
And if you succeed, here we go. Yeah, mobility or system. If you succeed, you go before the enemies. If you fail, you go after. Very simple. Okay, so we got 1 success. 2 successes. Preacher, okay. 3 successes from Monk. Success from Fox. Okay, excellent. You guys are on it.
So if you roll your number, is that a
It
success
is
or
a
a fail?
fail, I think, in Mecha Hack. I think if you roll your number exactly, that it's...
Do you have to choose success or mobility before rolling?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or system or... I guess I would... Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I would have just picked the higher one anyway.
You roll under that attribute, you succeed. Yeah. If you roll equal
Under,
to or
yeah.
over, you have failed. That is correct.
So I rolled equal to, so I failed.
Okay. So there will be 4 of you who get to go before these creatures do, and 1 of you who will go after. So I guess whichever order that the 4 of you want to take your turns in, you can go ahead.
So I think because Monk is right next to this door at the console when it comes down, and I've got my flail already ready to go. So as soon as one comes through the door, he just full on overhand smash right onto the first one that comes through. And that's a power roll, right? Right.
Most of the attacks typically are, so I think so.
Yeah. Ooh, well, that's a 1. So
That's a good thing. All right.
yeah. And then my...
So, okay. Oh, wait. Sorry. So these things have an ability called Little Bastards.
Oh, God.
You have disadvantage on power attacks that directly target this enemy. So,
All right, well, that's a 5.
Okay, so you still hit.
Still hit, yep.
Yeah, so go ahead and do your damage.
That's a 4.
Okay. So, yeah, this thing kind of like pops or bursts whenever you hit it, but go ahead and describe what that looks like.
So I just come down and there's just this splatter of you just see this flash of blue light as this flail just comes flying through the air, and there's just the slightest sound of a like a crunch and a squish as it connects through our helmets, and there's just gore that splatters everywhere. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just like roundhouse and attack it a second time on my second action. Which is also a success, and I passed my reactor die test. So, also 4 points of damage on the next one. So,
all right. So yeah, in rapid succession, you're just splattering these two.
Full on whack-a-mole. So
absolutely, and there's no shortage of targets for you to swing at. And when you hit one of these things, it's like hitting a mosquito, only the size of a cat. And it just, like, the roots on these things that look like roots are veins, and they seem to be filled. And these things are not rigid at all. They're very soft and thin, and when you hit them, they burst open. It is unnervingly gross. Okay. Who's next?
I'll go. Preacher first. He over the comms, he's like, "Remember, we're fire team. We don't take no shit from no one." And going to inspire speech the commander. So that's a use action. Who gains advantage on the next test made before the start of my next turn. So you have advantage there, Chad.
All right, buddy.
Well, I'm not done.
Oh, no, you're good.
And as my second action, it is another use action, so I'm going to have to roll my reactor die. And I rolled under a 10, so I'm still good there. I'm going to use Reinforce, and being Phoenix is also near me. I am, so since this is my fire team, I've fitted a particular module to every one of their armors, where that my armor can just plug into, basically. So for Phoenix, I basically punch into her armor, and I can just and I reinforce her which basically spins up all these different gears on her armor and stuff. So she gets a D6, which she can choose to either subtract from a damage roll, or she can add it to an attack roll. And that's my turn.
All right, who's next?
I feel like Fox would be next. My goal is to, let me see, and I can do 2 things per round, right? Just reminding myself. Yeah, so what I would do, I think, is I'm going to set up my drop shield right in front of the door. So first things first, kind of keep them from getting to the rest of us. He would just slam this this bit of tech down on the ground, and immediately that pixelated green drop shield just sort of come up, and he would then pick up the gun, and in front, as these things are coming out, he's just going to lay a waste of bullets just into this funneled corridor as I use my heavy gun to try to take out as many as possible.
Okay, so let's see. Your minigun is heavy machine gun, right?
That would be the machine gun. And I also passed on my reactor die to drop the drop shield. So yes, we're good.
Excellent. Okay, cool. So that kind of throws down in place, and a couple of them are kind of causing the surface of it to kind of dance and spark a bit as they land on it. So with your heavy machine gun, you're gonna test power to make an attack to activate firing.
And I do it twice because of their ability at disadvantage, correct?
So disadvantage on power attacks that directly target this enemy. So technically speaking, this doesn't directly target them because
it's just a spray of bullets.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say that the disadvantage would apply here.
You have advantage on your.
Oh, I do have advantage on the action.
On your test, yeah. So
okay,
your next
so I
text
will roll twice
from me, and just know that, since you're using a heavy weapon, it adds 2 to your attack, but it also adds 2 to your damage roll as a heavy
awesome.
weapon. Awesome. Yeah, so it makes your attack worse, but it increases the damage that you do.
Yeah. So whatever you roll, add that to your 2 to that attack roll.
You got it. Ooh, I'm glad you gave me advantage. Oh, okay, cool. I went from a 20 to a 2. So yeah, good job. So that'd be 4, and then I do 4d4 damage plus 2 for damage, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's not great, but I'll take it. 8. That's 12 damage all up as I just barrel a bunch of spray into this hallway and take out as many as possible.
Yeah, you're just like sending these again. Almost, I picture like almost every 10 rounds or something is like a tracer round. So we get these kind of like light, like zips that kind of shoot down where you're putting these bullets, and you're just spraying this lead kind of into this hallway, which is not a large area to start with, and you can see these things pop, 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 boom, and you hear this kind of wet, squishing, popping noise happening all down this hallway. And as your gun is kind of whirring up into its full kind of rotations, you see the floor in this tunnel is starting to kind of leak into this area. This black, thin blood is running out of this hallway in small little rivulets that are starting to come together. I think that just leaves. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm just shaking right there as I'm just laying into this thing.
Yeah, Gerhardt will put a hand on the commander's shoulder, and just say, like, as sharply as he can through the comms, like, "We got to retreat now, sir." And with his revolver out, try to see if there are any that are getting through this barrage of bullets that the commander is laying waste to. And just, if there is, I'd probably fire one parting shot at just whichever one was the closest as I try to, like, get the team to start moving the other direction.
Okay, so you are falling back effectively from close to near, moving a range band back and taking a parting shot as you're kind of making your way back at one. So go ahead and test power. It will be at disadvantage to target an individual.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a failure for me. That's 14, power 9. Yep, failure.
Okay, so you do take this kind of half-hearted shot, and your bullet just kind of ricochets off of some concrete, not hitting its target, but you fall back. And as the four of you have kind of taken your snap reaction to this door falling open, Phoenix, before you're able to fully click kind of into what's going on, the flood are spilling out of the end of this corridor. Several of them, the majority of them, have been blown apart, shot, destroyed in this kind of gory festivities all over the place. But there seems to be even more in this hallway that are coming up from behind. You can hear the movement as they crawl along the surfaces trying to get to you so desperately. And from the end of this corridor that's already kind of covered in this mired guck, all of a sudden the edges of it just kind of like begin to writhe and move as these things come out of this corridor and start to spread along the walls of this room. Many of them get within a considerable distance, 20, 30 feet or so, and will launch themselves at you with these appendages geared at trying to wrap their way around your faces. So each one of you is going to suffer 2 attacks of this nature. So I need every single one of you to please test mobility. Let me know if anybody fails.
All I can say is you grabbing the camera is highly effective.
That's what it does in the game.
Yeah.
One success, 1 critical failure.
Okay. 2 fails from Monk. Okay.
Sorry, it was mobility, and what was the other one?
Just mobility, just twice.
Oh, two tests for mobility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's 1 success, 1 fail for Breach.
Okay.
2 successes for Phoenix.
Okay, so Phoenix, you managed to stay untouched. Fox, what you got? 1 fail, 1 success. Okay, so each of you who has gotten a failure, per failure, you are going to take 2 points of damage. The critical failure was 4 points of damage instead. And those of you who failed more than 1, obviously you would take 2 and then 2 from the second also. These things have launched themselves at you and have actually latched onto a part of your helmet and the upper part of your armor with these kind of long root-like fleshy tendrils. And you can see the ones that are kind of against your face mask, almost like the underside of a squid, this kind of maw or beak-like thing that is made out of these kind of concentric rows of like long spindly teeth that are kind of like snapping and like opening and trying to chew on you. Okay. So now, Phoenix, it is your turn.
Yeah. Okay. So where's this drop shield that the commander put down?
So it's kind of not choking the doorway, but just a little back because he wanted to stand in front of it to actually shoot. So 2-3 feet back from the opening of the door is kind of where I had pictured it.
Okay, so before she goes to run behind that drop shield, she is going to kind of, I guess, spray the corridor area where these things are coming out of with the needler. She's going to shoot the needler at it first.
Okay.
Test power.
You got the info. Okay, cool. You got it.
That is a success.
Excellent. Okay.
So it's 4d4 damage.
All right.
So it's 9 total.
Excellent.
Damage from the spikes as they shoot out.
Yeah, so again, like this hail of purple and pink kind of crystalline projectiles just kind of sail down the hallway, embedding themselves in everything that they come into contact with. And fraction of a second later, they burst. Several of these things pop again and leave this kind of gore behind.
Yeah, and I rolled my reactor die, and I'm fine with that. And then I would like to... If we do another attack action, then we have to roll our...
Correct. Your reactor die
again.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do that, I'll go ahead and use my core override, and I can roll my reactor in place of yours, Phoenix.
Okay, yeah. So what I'll do is I would like to throw a frag grenade.
Yeah, I rolled a 2, so I'm good on my end.
A 1 or a 2, your reactor drops.
Oh. God.
Yeah, so you
Well,
were
I guess it drops.
You were a D12 or a D10 before?
I'm a D10 now. I had a D10. I don't remember if it dropped last time I didn't update it. I think it's a D10. So it goes down to a D8.
Okay.
And then I'm going to use that D6. So 13 points from the frag grenade.
Okay. So the frag grenade kind of ting, 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 kind of bounces in there. And again, a few seconds later, just after these kind of pink crystalline things kind of explode, your grenade then goes off and flings all kinds of like ruptured and torn like tissue and disgusting matter kind of spilling out of this corridor at your feet, and several corpses come out with it. And these aren't just mere corpses. They're twisted, they're malformed. You know, one of them has an arm that is completely and totally broken in several places and has been replaced or kind of amalgamated into this long bundle of what look like vines almost, but every single one of them is not made out of plant matter. This is flesh and blood and tissue reformed or grown in some kind of different shape. This is bizarre. Some of them, one of the corpses, his lower jaw is about where his sternum would be, and his tongue is one of these incredibly long root-like tendrils, and the rest of his head is backwards looking up at the ceiling. But these things are, at least until Phoenix's grenade went off, these things were ambulatory. They're walking around. They're living.
And I think seeing that, I don't know if it's, I think that is what causes Phoenix to power up that Forerunner sword that's on her, that is her hand at this moment. So she's standing there now with needler in one hand and the orange hard light blade in the other.
Does it seem like this corridor is just going to continue to funnel in more and more and more of these things?
It has slowed down a lot.
Okay.
You do still hear movement from down this corridor, but
Okay.
it is nowhere near the amount of sound that there was coming out initially.
Okay. This facility's huge, though, right?
It's very sizable. Yeah.
Yeah. I think at that moment, when they kind of have a moment to breathe, there should be a we need to run. We need to find something, some way to turn the lights on, some way where we can see more. If they keep coming like this, we may be ambushed before we know it.
Would either of us engineers have any idea where in a place like this, like a facility like this, you might find like a power room? Like if there's like kind of like I'm guessing in a like planetary place like this, a lot of these places are probably like prefabricated, like dropped into the place and like assembled. So there may be some standardization to them.
So typically, yes, that would absolutely be the case. But you know that this was an existing mining installation that was repurposed into a UNSC base. So while it wouldn't necessarily follow the same design that of anything that you've ever come across before, you can see that there's pipes and conduit and things running all throughout this facility. And just on a hunch, you guessed it, forward would be where it seems to all culminate.
Well, shit.
So, and I just look at Commander. Are we pulling back or are we pushing on? And I guess at this point too, I've still got two of them on me, so I'm gonna use my actions to squish. Would I need one for each of them, or just one for both?
Okay,
just one.
So before you get into the second round of combat, at the end of the combat here, because there are so many enemies, there's another friend who has joined this party. Out of one of the other open doorways, there is a figure who has stepped out. Again, twisted and bent and crumbled. Once it comes out of the end of the hallway, you can see it unfurl. Again, these root-like tendrils kind of flop out and unroll, and it stands up to its full height, and you realize in life this was a brute. His face is covered in boils of some kind, and these finger-like tendrils growing out of the side of his neck all like move independently of one another as it turns towards you and it starts to run forward on all fours in your direction.
And you said this was from a different doorway, right?
It was.
Oh, good Lord. Okay.
This creature runs up behind and is going to attack Monk. This thing bounds over to you and is going to attack you. I need you to test power. Nope. Oh, okay. Sorry. So, Monk, you're going to be testing mobility. He actually gets a second attack before he closes. That one's going to be against Gearhart. So, Gearhart, you're going to have to test power. What'd you get, Monk?
I rolled a 7, so I passed.
Excellent.
Get under a 10.
Gearhart,
Nope.
no?
Failure.
Okay. So as he's kind of unfurled this one arm, the other side, these tendrils kind of have reached out and grabbed a hold of a forklift and have wrapped themselves kind of all amongst the metal cage and the axles and things and have pulled it closer to it. And it rears backwards and overhand pitches this forklift directly at you, Gearhart.
Seeing this thing,
go ahead.
Seeing this corrupted brute running towards Monk, Gearhead is just midway through yelling at "Phoenix!" and he gets about that far before this thing slams into him.
This forklift just slams into you with a lot of force. You're going to take 8 points of damage, Gearhead, as this thing careens into you and the forks penetrate the wall and you are pinned in place. So you cannot move.
He's a crumpled heap, pinned in between this forklift and the wall, unmoving, unresponsive.
You cannot move until you use an action to test power and succeed.
He also can't use any actions.
Because
wink, wink.
Okay. That went through your shield points also, right?
Oh, that's right. No, I did forget about armor points.
Yeah, armor points.
Okay.
And they work a little bit different than normal.
8 point. Did the earlier... Sorry, you cut out there a little bit. Did the earlier ones also... Did the armor apply to that?
So, yes, it would have. That would have detracted from your shield points first.
Okay.
And then if you have not gone through your shield points, then that's still going through those before it goes through your health.
Okay, never mind. So I am not quite dead.
Okay. And then just as a reminder for anybody else, in order to recharge your shields, it is a use action. But you can do so on your turn. Okay, so yeah, this thing has hurled across the room and slammed into Gearhead and the wall, pinning him up against this concrete wall. And then it has closed the distance to Monk and brought up this massive bundle of vine-like tendrils that form its clawed hand. And you passed, Monk? Right? Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
And Monk manages to kind of sidestep and twirl just as this thing careens down into the floor, and you all hear that noise as the concrete foundation cracks underneath the blow. Now, you may begin the second turn, Monk, if you'd like.
So, and these things are still on me, right? So
Yeah.
Okay. I think I've got to get out of the way. How far away is Gearhead from me if I was by that door? Because he'd run to the other side of the room, didn't he?
Yeah, he had fallen back, so I would say he's probably 20 feet back, give or take.
Okay. I'm gonna use my jump my jetpack. Is that what it is? Jump jets? Jetpack?
Yeah, jump jets, jetpack.
Jump jets, there we go. And so that I will use that to jump over to the other side of the room next to where he is pinned against the wall. And I do pass my reactor check for that. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go ahead and attack those things that are on me. Is that what I need? Can I do both in one, or is that 2 separate actions to get both of them?
I think if you're going to spend an action, you could absolutely get both of them.
Okay, then that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead and test. I guess power.
Okay, I rolled a 9, so I'm good.
Okay.
Good there.
So yeah, you managed to basically. Sorry, go ahead.
There's 3 points of damage. So.
Okay. So again, you kind of reach up and almost like, again, swatting mosquitoes, you kind of smash these things kind of against the hardness of your armor, and they kind of spatter and shower around you.
Okay. And as I kind of picture, like, as I'm jumping across the room, I'm knocking these things off of me. And then I land next to Gearhead and just like, hang tight, kid. I got you.
Okay, so you're going to try to, like, free him?
I have to wait till my next turn because that was my 2 actions.
Oh,
so
right.
Use the jump jet and then yep.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. All right. Who else before they go?
I will at least do my use action to get my AP back. So I'll get my armor back.
Okay. Yep.
And if I can, I'll try to like try as best I can to angle myself so that like if we're trying to like push this thing out of the wall, this forklift out of the wall, maybe I can help with my jetpack or something. Like I can try to like push forward, you know. So just lean as best I can, even though I know I'm kind of pinned.
Excellent. Okay, so do you want to test power to see if you can remove yourself, or do you want to wait?
I mean, if he's already here and helping me, and my power is pretty weak, so
okay.
Actually, can I still like take a shot at this brute with my revolver?
Yeah, it's a one-handed weapon, so absolutely. Well, without
oh my
any
god!
Kind of penalty. Oh no!
If I was playing another game tonight, this die would be freaking killing it. It's rolling 20 after 20 after 20. But in a roll under game, a 20 is less helpful. So, no, I don't hit.
Okay. You shoot past this this brute, and when you do so, it hits one of these pipes that are kind of running all through this room. And when you do, all of you hear this noise, and you can see this. Basically, you can see the gas escaping from the pinhole that, or the bullet hole that was just made in this pipe, because it has like this slightish blue tint, and it is starting to kind of rapidly gather near the ceiling. Who's next?
I can go. I will spend one of my actions, roll power, to. I only had one fail, so I only have one of those things on me. Is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Damn. Nope. My power is a 16, and I rolled a 16, so no.
All right, so you still have one on you.
And is that stopping me from doing anything else, or?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's a distraction, perhaps, but other than that, no, it's not. It's not stopping you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna continue to reinforce Phoenix since she's got the Forerunner arm.
All right, sounds good. I think that just leaves Fox before.
Sorry, reinforce. That's the plus D6 to attack minus to damage.
It's a D. Yeah, it's a. I'll put it in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, it's the same one you gave me last time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So I guess seeing all this, seeing the brute come barreling out, throwing the forklift and everything just going into utter pandemonium. I am going to, on this round, see this, and as much as I want to wheel around and like lay in a set of suppressive fire on this with my gun, I also know that it may not work the way I want it to. So I'm going to go and grab from my pack on my side. So I hold the gun in one hand, like kind of leaning it up against my leg. And I go and I grab onto the side of it and I rip off a mine. And I want to try to like fling the mine and slide it across the ground to where it's underneath the proximity mine, so that when it gets underneath the flood brute, that it will explode as soon as it's within range.
Excellent. Okay. So let's see, what do you have? The mine info?
Yeah, I do. Hold on one second.
The consumable mine.
It is a consumable mine, yes. I don't remember
Until
exactly
deployed,
what.
detonated. Enemy. Okay. So so do this then.
Yep.
Test power.
Okay.
To see how accurate your placement is.
All right. I got an 8. 8 on a 19.
Assuming that's a good thing. Okay, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with perhaps even practiced finesse, you kind of like underhand roll this mine out. Kind of after you engage its electromagnetic like qualities, you kind of roll this out, knowing how much kind of an angle you have to kind of like stand this up to keep it from engaging the floor, until it kind of rolls right to the point where you want it, and it kind of starts to circle, and then the electromagnets engage, and within a moment, it's beep, 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 blinking red, and then blows up. So roll me a 2d6.
Ooh, okay, that's not bad at all. That's a 9.
Excellent. Okay. So the mine explodes upwards, sending its shrapnel as well as shrapnel from the floor kind of up through this thing from underneath, severing pieces of this creature, and it seems to pay no mind to the damage at all.
Okay then. With that unsettling information, I think that he would then, even though he knows he has this little creature, this little spore kind of just hanging around on his visor, he's not even paying it mind right now, as he swings the gun, the butt of the gun back around now, and he'll attempt to just lay in heavy suppressive fire so that it doesn't get to the rest of his team.
Excellent. Okay, so let's see. The mine was a consumable, so it doesn't need a roll for your reactor die. But taking a... Oh, that was a use action to deploy the mine. Okay, so
Yeah.
So technically this is not the same action, so you won't have to even roll your reactor die for your your attack here. Okay, so light him up. Roll your power.
Yeah, so it's power, so I got a 17 over a 19, so I made it.
Okay,
And
cool.
then... Okay, so that's 11 plus 2 because it's a heavy weapon. So
13.
that'll be 13 all up.
Excellent. Okay. Okay. So what does it look like as you drop this brute?
Oh, buddy. Okay. Yeah, So he wheels around, and probably just from having experience fighting these things at least that one time, he knows that the faster you kill them, the better. So he spins this around, and as I probably almost at the same time that the funnel of explosion is going up, the gun is already whirring, and so as its face is coming through the flame, just he's getting pelted with absolute viscera.
And your hail of bullets just tears through his flesh as if it were rotten melons, just sending bits and pieces scattering all over the room behind him. He has started to take several steps forward, even through your barrage of lead, and doesn't seem to pay it any mind until you literally have reduced his head into ribbons. Only at that point does he stop and fall forwards with a wet and just spills the remainder of his upper half at your feet.
Fucking flood. Everyone all right?
The fun's not over yet. Anyone who has a flood infector type on you, you are going to take an additional 2 points of damage. Does that bypass anybody's shields? I need to know. No.
I think I have one because that was from the check that I crit failed on, right?
It might have been.
Those things latching on. Okay, then yeah, it would have, but I recharged my shield, so no.
Okay. These things are chewing on you, and as they do so, you can watch your shields kind of starting to drop and diminish, but you seem fine for the moment. Okay. You can hear more movement from the corridor in front of you, but it sounds distant. It sounds deep within this compound. And all of you, over this kind of gurgling echo, hear
Become one. Become free.
Gearhead will just kind of yell out, No, thanks. I like not having tentacles."
Yeah. Monk just kind of just doesn't respond at all. He just starts working on trying to get Gearhead loose from the wall.
Okay, so before we get to that point, Phoenix, you do have a turn.
So what do I see? Like the big brute guy is dead. There's a
Very
couple
much
of
so.
critters on people's heads, but are there
Yep.
any other loose ones?
There are a couple here and there. One or two of them may be making their way towards the open front door that you came through.
And the corpsey things, they're all gone?
Yes, all the twisted, lasty corpse, those things were caught in the explosion in the hallway, and they were just kind of flung towards you, so they were dead when they came out. You also get the sensation that there is something in this hallway that is making its way towards you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to I don't know. That's a tough one. Can I hear the thing coming this way?
Yeah, it has pretty heavy footsteps. This kind of kathum, kathum, kathum. There's something weird about them. Each step sounds heavy, almost metal, but there's also kind of a wet, squishy noise as well.
Gross. I think I'm just going to fire the needler at the ones that are disappearing out the front door. Let's just take care of them. And then we'll turn around and then face whatever is nasty coming out the front door. Or the hall door. So is a success on the needler to hit. So 10 points in total amongst all those sneaky things. I'm gonna have to roll my reactor die. Oh, made it. Yay.
Okay, so the power of your suit is enough, at least so far, to keep your suit going, and you send another hail of these crystalline projectiles at this kind of grouping that's moving towards the front doors, and not a single one of them makes it past the threshold before it's pierced with one of these crystallines, these small crystals, and kind of blows up in this pink mist.
Awesome. And I'm going to, I guess, position myself like smack dab in the hallway entrance area, such that my team behind me can take care of what they need to take care of, while I am hopefully can buy us some time, whatever this thing is.
Right. Okay. Phoenix, you step into the kind of throat of this hallway, and realize that might not be too far off of a description. You can see into this hallway, and now you notice the same kind of thing that Gearhead was starting to pick up on with his drone, that the architecture here has been compromised. Flesh seems to cover every surface in this hall, and you can see these nodules growing everywhere, almost like cancerous tumors, and most of them have been ruptured and burned and shot and opened. But you can see further down the hall that there are plenty of them that are not. And the ones that are not are actually like pulsating and throbbing. The skin, if you will, on these nodules is so thin that you can actually see the veins in them. And as you're kind of squaring up to this hallway, looking down towards this danger, something strange about the wall nearest you kind of catches your attention, and you kind of look a little closer, and you realize that at some point, though very distorted, this was someone's face. And about the time that you realize that, and you've kind of like looked closer and confirmed that, an eye opens and looks until it finds you and stares directly at you. Okay. From further down the corridor, Phoenix, you see what it is that must have been making the noise as it is coming closer. And at first, the sight of this is somewhat familiar. You start to recognize the size and shape and the angles, and you realize that it's a Spartan, that it's a suit of Mjolnir power armor. But then you notice what's wrong about it. The helmet is cracked open and held in place, perhaps fused there. And roots and tendrils grow out of the skull of the Spartan that used to operate this armor. Aliana, it must be. Her lower jaw melted, maybe. Her tongue lolling out of the opening that no longer feeds her oxygen. She moves towards you in a twisted form, and as she does so, you hear more in your mind than in the readouts from your helmet.
We are freedom. We are one. We are flood. Join us. You will never know sickness. You will never know want.
All right. This thing lumbers closer towards you, Phoenix. The rest of you, as of now at least, unaware of this. You may begin your third turn.
So, Monk, what I'm going to do, I'm going to, again, just call over to, well, I'm right next to him, so with Gearhead. Monk, you got this. I need you to put your back into it. Get this damn thing off you. And I'll use Reinforce. So you get to add a D6 to any roll or subtract that roll. So use that if you want to use that on your power. And then I'm going to start heading back. I'm going to move back over towards the door or towards the hallway. Kind of take up the space behind, probably alongside Preacher, behind the other two.
Shit. She went in there. She went inside. I was so focused on making sure that this thing here.
He kind of kicks the brute.
I didn't see where Phoenix went.
So she's
No, she's
just
down.
inside the door. She's just inside the
Oh,
corridor.
can I see?
Yeah.
Can I
would
see her
say
from
so.
where we're at?
Unless your intention was to go in further than that, Karen. It sounded like you were stopping just inside the door.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to block the hallway, like the
Right.
entrance. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's just
my
on the other
body.
side of the open door right now.
So I can see her. Okay, my intent, my visual was thinking that she was further along in the corridor, that like I couldn't see her and she was out of line of sight. But if she is,
They're going to keep coming. I don't know if we have enough bullets. I don't know if we have enough anything to stop them.
We need to torch this place, Commander. You will
What do you
not
see in there?
like what I am seeing. We need to get out of here and blow this place up. Level it to the ground, cinders, ash, nothing left. Persephone Team, they're not here anymore.
What do you mean?
and then he realizes when you say that, like, you must have found something.
I think you probably notice If you're looking at
Down the
her,
hallway?
you
Okay.
can see past her down the hall, and you see this
So I can see
shape.
that armor.
Absolutely.
Shit. All right, team. Change your plans. And he nods to Phoenix. There's no saving this rock.
None.
And then he would give the orders to, burn it and turn it. We're done.
You hear the slight like whoosh of a jetpack jet as Gerhardt finally pushes the then there's a clatter as this forklift sort of settles on the ground and he frees himself, panting heavily. Yes, sir. Let's get the hell out of here.
Roger that, Commander. And Preacher would try to radio the Pelican. This is Firestorm Team requesting immediate evac.
Firestorm Team, we read you. We just need a place to dust off. Send a coordinate and we'll reach you there.
Sending coordinates now. And I imagine like everyone's HUDs would sync and be like, we've got X amount of time to get to the drop zone to get the heck out of here.
Countdown?
Yeah, countdown. Exactly. Got to have a countdown. Countdown to the drop zone to get out of here. Preacher is going to again try to squish this thing that's feeding on his armor. Rolled 13, so that's under, so that works. So yeah, he takes the butt of his scattergun and just knocks this thing off the side, and then he's going to reach to his side, and it looks like a very large one of those like extra cell phone batteries as he clicks on that and it spins up. So I'm using a boost kit, which is going to restore a D4 of my armor points. So I get 2 armor points back, and it's going to raise my reactor die back up by 1. So that's back up to a D10.
Excellent. Okay. All right, so this creature is continuing forward towards Phoenix. The rest of you are beginning to fall back to leave this facility. You realize again that there is gas that is being rapidly pumped into this room. And looking about, you realize that there's several canisters, oil drum-like barrels that are stacked around this place, and they are likely filled with this blaugas, at least some of them. So you start to form a retreat. Phoenix, are you staying put until kind of like the rest of them are moving out? Because this thing will close with you before that happens.
Yes. I mean,
okay.
Yes. She wants them to get out and get safe, make sure that nothing else is going to leave this corridor. Then she would book it after that. So yeah, this thing is going to close on her, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. The rest of you, briefly, if you would, describe to me what you're doing before you leave this place, before this thing is going to close with Phoenix. And you can just use narrative. You don't have to stick to mechanics. It's fine.
Realizing that he still has this thing leeching onto him, Gerhardt just like pulls his revolver for just a second, like hits a button on the side of his helmet that cuts all sound, and he just like bang, like pulls the trigger right on the thing, just splattering it, like, and just kind of like does a quick wipe of his visor, reactivates his sound, and keeps moving.
Yeah, I think Monk is gonna start backing away towards the door, but keeping an eye on Phoenix, just making sure that she's able to get out as well.
I think
Okay.
Preacher with his scattergun would just fire off shells at any of these flood that are like just inbound, just popping them off as they come in.
I think that Fox would begin to take a moment as they're beginning their retreat. You said that they're canisters. You just sort of see him begin to, like, one after the other, arm after arm, kind of like chucking them into a pile, pretty much right in the center of the room, right before the doorway. And so that after we back out, I'm going to light this thing up. I will light this up and let this whole thing burn down. So I'm going to stand at the doorway that we came into, the big double door entry. And I'll wait for the entire team to kind of evacuate the space before I set this thing ablaze.
Okay, so you're kind of throwing and kicking these things around. Some of them, the metal somewhat thinned with age, kind of rupture, slightly leaking more gas into this room. The top third of this room is probably now filled with this kind of slightly blue haze as this gas is collecting in here already. And you kind of all fall back towards the door, except for Phoenix, who is holding off, waiting for the rest of you to kind of get to the front door. In the last several steps before it reaches you, Phoenix, this creature lumbering towards you says to you,
"We wanted the stars. You were to take us there. Instead, you have chosen annihilation."
It then turns and leaps towards you, bringing the weapon it has been dragging behind it to bear. And you realize that this must have been the gravity hammer that belonged to Cassitus, the brute chieftain. As it closes with you, it brings this gravity hammer around to you, and I need you to make 2 mobility tests, please.
So the first one is a success, and the second one's a success.
Excellent. Seeing this weapon rounded, you manage to duck low to the ground as this thing swings laterally across and slams into the wall beside you, and just ruptures any of the flood flesh that's there, and you can hear it breaking the foundations of architecture that are behind it. The second swing then narrowly misses, scraping across the front of your Mjolnir armor before making contact with the doorway and bending it irreparably out of shape. It is now your turn.
Without hesitation, she's going to swing this sword, this Forerunner sword that's on her arm at the creature. And we hope we hit. So I test. Oh, it was almost a critical. So that is just a regular hit. Got a 3 on the die. So we're going to make this a reckless attack as well, because I'm feeling my life pass before my eyes right here. So as she swings, it'll do 13 points of damage to this creature as the blade cuts through.
you cut through the arm that is holding onto this gravity hammer. It is only holding onto it with one arm. And you sever in between the plates of this Mjolnir armor with your hard light blade. This Forerunner technology, this orange power just passes through the armor and severs it. It falls to the floor with a clatter, this gravity hammer in its grip, and it staggers backwards for just a moment, and you realize, more than likely, this is your opportunity. As you watch the hole where her shoulder is immediately begins to grow with root-like tendrils out and wrap around the haft of the gravity hammer, reclaiming it. Now is your time.
Yes, and as my move action, I am going to run for the door, seeing that the commander has already set up the nice pile of ammo and the rest of them are at the door, booking it.
As we see Phoenix running from this creature, this abomination, and just making it out the door, I imagine, as Fox whirls up his machine gun once again towards this gas-filled chamber, this collection of barrels near the center. And we see the Pelican in the distance, the rain, the night, beginning to make its descent for a dust-off. Each of you, please, give us the epilogue for your character of this mission. What does the end of this look like?
I mean, I can go first. It's fine. Yeah, I think I wait until the very last minute. So whatever you guys do, I will wait till the very last minute until I can. I would begin to, as I see this thing come out and I see the armor in full for what it is, the gravity hammer kind of dragging along the ground, I begin to just barrel in these hail of bullets into this space. I'm backed up far enough to where I feel like if it were to explode outward, I wouldn't get hit with, the back blast. But he's going to. We've already got a Pelican inbound. And I don't know how far or how fast we're going to have to move. So I think that he just wheels around, blasts this in. The sparks from the bullets hit the gas canisters, and it's just an all-out fume of fire as it explodes this space. And he's just going to stand there, just reaming in more and more as he just watches this fireball inside, probably as the doors are closing slightly. Just nothing but fireball.
Gerhardt will be right behind the commander, like literally standing right behind him, waiting for this hail of gunfire to end. And the second it ends, as our companions are, running past us, he's going to kind of grab onto the back of the commander's armor, knowing that he's this giant slow tank, and just full thruster on the jetpack tries to pull the commander with him to launch out of there towards the drop zone, to just pull him along as fast as possible. And as soon as they're clear of the blast radius, he'll kind of get him situated, spin around, come on, let's move, and just start running, trying to get to the Pelican.
So yeah, I think Monk is just again like lockstep with Phoenix, making sure that Monk's always going to make sure that everybody gets to the dust off point. So not running ahead, staying right next to Phoenix as we try to get back to the Pelican.
Yeah, I think there's at one point in this kind of commotion, you can see Phoenix is running towards the door, and the commander lights off the big blast, and there's like a mini explosion of the things. The gas catches a little bit, and you expect to see Phoenix coming out the door, and you don't. And then the big boom goes off as the rest of the gas finally ignites, and you see this body kind of fly through the door, flung probably partially from the force of the blast, and just kind of do that tumble on the ground, like when the person's not like conscious or whatever, they just go bloop, 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 and they kind of roll and stops. And the force is so hard that the helmet comes off, and you can see the woman inside just kind of lying there. And Monk, I'm sure you're probably running towards the body, fearful, but as you get there, you can see she moves, and she grabs her helmet, and you can see the face underneath, and one half of it is completely scarred from what you can only tell was a previous fire blast that she had survived. And she just kind of looks at you and maybe uses your hand to help herself get up. And she's like, well, we always rise from the ashes, don't we? Let's get to that drop zone.
Yeah, so Preacher would he would have probably been first to the drop zone location, in the sense that he would get there in order to immediately like take out 2 flares as he just pops them off and chucks them as they ignite, signaling the Pelican for the drop zone. And I imagine like the Pelican probably doesn't even touch down. It just hovers just enough as the bay opens, and Preacher would get on, and he's like probably hanging on as he's helping each one of his companions into the Pelican. And I think he would notice as the Pelican is getting ready to take off, pretty much like the HUDs, or at least his HUD, can't notice the other HUDs, but his HUD is glitching for a moment, and then pretty much any reference to flood that was being recorded as we were there is immediately like getting redacted. It's just and like memory dumps are happening in the AI as soon as like we sync with the Pelican's Wi-Fi.
And just one like as the Pelican starts to take off, like the loading bay door starts to close, and this one little spore floats in right as the door closes on the Pelican.
Well done. Well done. Excellent. So the 5 of you load up into this Pelican, and it begins to lift off and away from the melted, burnt slag of harvest. But as it does so, we watch as this facility, in a chain reaction, just explodes and implodes on itself and completely is razed to the ground. And as we pull away, we can watch these small explosions that seem to be happening deep within the surface of Harvest, bursting forth and cracking this surface as it snakes in this kind of fiery line directly towards the town of Amblechurch. And that's it. The end. Excellent. You guys, that was so fantastic. Thank you so much for playing in this game. Thank you so much for everybody who tuned in this evening, even. Whether you watched live with us or whether you watched in the future, it is sincerely appreciated. I'm going to toss things back over to my players quickly so that they can say any kind of outro or plug anything else that they like. Once again, any channels that are mentioned, you should be able to find them in the description below. Please do go check them out. We're going to just start in reverse order and just go right on through. So, Austin, you are first.
Thank you, as always, for running an incredible game. I always have just the biggest blast in your games, Jeremy. So thank you so much for including me. I am always honored. The only plug that I would have is if you haven't already done it, do your census. Like, time is running out. It might already be too late. I think you might have like 2 or 3 more days to do it. So like, do the census and go vote. And other than that, y'all have a great night and have a great week ahead of you.
Awesome, Austin. Thank you so much. And it's always a pleasure, man. Thank you. Next up, we have Chad.
There you go. There's my outro. One sentence. It's always great being able to play with you, Jeremy. But the one thing that I love the most about you as a GM is the attention to detail and how much you bring in terms of making me feel like I'm in that moment. It's so good. Thank you so much. Also, I feel incredibly guilty now based on the end of this, the end of this whole thing. Fox is going to have PTSD for the rest of his life. It's going to be great. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I love each and every one of you as players. I would 100% play Halo again with you guys anytime. This was an honor. I have served as a Spartan. God bless.
Fantastic, Chad. Thank you so much, man. It means a lot to me. And I'm so glad that you guys have enjoyed this because I've had a blast. So I'm glad that that comes across. All right, next up we have Dwight.
Hey, I'm Dwight, and I'll just echo everybody else's sentiment that this is just an amazing game to play in. I love playing on this channel. I love this game. So I'll always, like you said, super immersive. I don't know anything about Halo. I never was a Halo player, but I fit right in, and it doesn't matter because you tell the story so well, and these players play the story so well. So it's just a blast to play. I'm excited. This week Friday, I'll be running my first Mecha Hack game in the Expendables with, let's see, this guy and that lady. Nope, over this way. There we go. We'll be playing Mecha Hack with me. Be my first game on my channel, Big Bearded Nerd 21 on Twitch. So that's gonna be super fun. A little bit more lighthearted than this. It's an Expendables game, so it's got to be lighthearted. So maybe a Jet Li appearance. We'll see. But yeah, always a pleasure to be here. And thank you all so much.
Excellent, man. I cannot wait. I'm going to play that entire game as Stallone. I'm going to do the voice and the lip thing. Hey, don't worry about it,
I like it.
Oh, well, I mean, if I didn't have an incentive to watch it before, I definitely have to now. So thank you for the extra plug. It's the best.
I probably won't do that, Dwight. Don't worry.
Oh, no. You sold it.
I'm all for it. Now you have to. Yeah.
You have to do it.
Yeah. Wonderful. I'm your worst nightmare.
I'm pretty sure at this point that's the thing that's got to happen.
You just want to be able to understand me. I'll just mumble all my words together. All right, the next one we have is Karen.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What did you say there? You're mumbling.
Karen! Yo, Karen!
Oh, what do I say? This was such an amazing experience. I love this team, this Firestorm team. And hey, guys, we survived another one. So, hey, just putting that out there. Thank you, Jeremy, so much. It was so creepy. So creepy. And I'm sorry, the words you use to describe this stuff just make it so super duper disgusting. I think I'm just not going to sleep tonight. So thank you. And I get to look forward to more horror on Wednesday. So yay. Good thing I, love that kind of shit. So yay. Anyway, thank you everyone. I don't know what else to say. This is just amazing. I love playing with all of you guys. So thank you very much. And I will see you next time.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate it, Karen, very much. And I'm so glad that this came across as being gross and scary, because that's the two notes that I wanted to make sure to hit, because they're not always present in Halo. So I definitely wanted, especially since we're so close to Halloween, I really wanted to have a spoopy game. So I'm glad that it came across. So thank you. Okay. Last but certainly not least, we have Alan.
Hey, Jeremy, nothing's over till it's over, baby. Hit that bell one more time. Ding, ding. Jeremy, as always, it's a pleasure to be a player at your table. And I really I love how Mecha Hack, how you were able to turn it into Halo. It just works so seamlessly. The mechanics and everything, I can totally see it as Spartans and not necessarily, towering giant robots. So very well done. And yeah, really creepy. And since I you had said that you were going to do Shadows Over Driftchapel, but I wasn't quite sure what you were going to pull out. And then as soon as you started saying spores, I was like, oh damn, he went with the he went with the flood. Yeah, and definitely I will harken back to what Chad said. Some of the creepiest levels playing the game in the flood. With that being said, great playing with all of you guys again. I love playing this game, and make sure tomorrow, Monday, October 19th, go to twitch.tv/CFTRPG for some kicking some shell with Jeremy and Chad playing some TMT. So check us out over there. And that's all I got. So thanks.
Excellent, man. And always thank you for, as always, coming onto the channel and bringing your A-game, Alan. All of you did such a great job with these characters and reinterpreting the Mecha Hack rules into Halo and fully embracing everything that I threw at you. So thank you so much for that. And yes, Alan, I cannot wait until tomorrow. I am so excited to hop immediately, more or less, one day of work, whatever. Immediately from one of my loves, Halo, into the Ninja Turtles, which is another love of mine. So I'm very excited for that. And then getting to play Mecha Hack again on the other side of the table on Friday with you, Dwight. So very excited for this week upcoming. Yeah, I can't think of anything else that I need to address. If you liked this adventure, it was definitely different. It was mutated, I guess is a good word. But Shadows Over Driftchapel, as well as the first one that was based on Oath of the Frozen King, both are adventure kits put out by Absolute Tabletop. I highly recommend that you go and check out all of their stuff. They are a fantastic production company. And they have a group called the Absolute Tabletop official group on Facebook, full of fantastic people where excellent games get run all the time, and you can find a community that is supportive and creative and just really fantastic, honestly, especially for Facebook. So go check that out. If you like what you saw on the channel, please like, subscribe, things like that. I think we are 4 subscribers away from hitting 400. I would love to be able to put that milestone behind me by the end of the year. That is my goal. So please, if you like this, do that. Go talk about it. Share it with your friends. Let them see it. Yeah. So thank you guys so much. The 5 players who played underneath me, you guys were terrific. And who knows? Maybe there'll be another adventure kit that AbTab puts out at some point in the future, and we can bend it to our wills. But until then, May your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.